Hello, everybody. I am extremely happy to welcome to another WBTF session on Leaders in Motion. And today, for the first time, we have a very lucky situation where we have two leaders that are keeping a lot of people in motion. We have today Sergiu and Kirill, who are joining us from Roundtrip. And I think we should just get going. We've set up a bunch of questions that we think are relevant to the two of you, and I will just present the question and let whoever feels happy to answer the question. Let's keep it as simple and as straightforward as possible for all of us here. Okay?
Yeah, thanks for having us, Dom.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here today. So, the most fundamental question, I think, is what is Roundtrip and how does it differ from any traditional TMCs in the market today?
Well, Roundtrip is a corporate travel management platform that combines digital tools with the human support, because we believe those two things should reinforce each other and not compete between them. So a lot of the conversation, I think, in our industry has been framed as a binary. Either you go full service and accept that some travelers won't follow, and a second way where you keep a traditional service model and accept the inefficiency that comes with that. So we try to reject that framing. Technology should make travel easier, faster, and more intuitive for the people actually taking the trips, right? And when it does that well, adoption follows naturally. But there are moments where a traveler needs a real person, a last-minute rebooking, a complex itinerary, an unfamiliar market. Having that support available seamlessly is what turns a simple booking tool, whatever booking tool, into a successful travel program that people actually trust. Where we differ from traditional TMC, I would say, is in how we deploy those two elements. A traditional TMC leads with the human layer and uses its technology to support it. We lead with the platform and use our support layer to handle technology, and this results in a program that scales without losing the service quality that drives, obviously, the traveler satisfaction here. And traveler confidence is ultimately what drives the adoption, right? And we are proud that our customers have over 98, 99% adoption of our platform, which makes a travel program work and being successful.
Okay, so basically focusing on user-centric, customer-centric experience with
Exactly.
one big machine, and how many people roughly in the background?
Over 200 people supporting
Okay, okay,
our organization, our business unit
okay,
within our business unit Roundtrip within the broader emerging travel group.
okay. Good point. Emerging Travel Group. Tell us a bit about the ecosystem of the Emerging Travel Group and where you fit in and
Mhm.
what the other brands are and how you support each other as a group, maybe.
Yeah. Well, ETG, or Emerging Travel Group, is one of the largest travel technology groups globally, with deep infrastructure across B2B distribution. RateHawk being the most visible brand externally, right, that existed for over 10 years. For our corporate customers, what that means concretely is an access to an inventory and pricing quality that a standalone TMC simply cannot replicate. Whether you book an accommodation or a hotel through Roundtrip, you're not drawing from a single channel or two channels, like several B2C websites or potential tour operators, OTAs, large OTAs. You're accessing a consolidated inventory that our group, that ETG group, has built through years of direct supplier relationship and bed bank aggregation. We work with over 300 suppliers globally from which we pull content, and that obviously translates to better rates, better availability, better continuity in markets where local inventory is thin. And beyond that content, the infrastructure is built to process highly granular data highly granular data at scale for our customers, giving them a level of visibility that most platforms simply can't match.
So super strong and integrated reporting, I guess. And
Absolutely.
okay, which obviously helps build the strategy of the corporate program at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Which
Exactly.
leads me ultimately to another point. We speak a lot with people in the market who are on the buying side, who normally come from a finance or procurement background. And the big topic that is just continuously growing is, of course, what is the ROI in the individual travel program? I always say there's no business without business travel. And if you look around, human beings have been moving around the planet ever since there has been human beings,
Yeah.
for trade, for development, for cultural topics, right? And business travel needs to be seen as an investment into business, right? Absolutely clear. I think we all
Yeah.
agree. And how do you make visible the ROI for these programs for your clients?
So in our conversations with the clients, I think we are focusing on the benefits that we bring as a platform. And there are three key ones that are top of mind. So one is favorable inventory prices. So as Sergio was speaking, we are very strong in the hotels vertical, and hence we are able to bring on average better prices than our clients can get elsewhere. So this is an obvious benefit by itself. But then two other ones are ability to enact and enforce centralized policies, and then everything that is related to reporting and control over the business travel spend. And typically, our conversation with the clients is focused on the fact that to get the majority out of all these three benefits, uh, what like a full adoption of our solution is required. So what we typically encourage our partners to do is to ensure that they minimize the so-called leakage, which is basically bookings out of the platform by their employees. And this is the biggest driver of value across these three pillars. And this is like typically where we are driving the conversation with our partners to make sure that they understand that. And if they have reasons why their employees are going out of the platform to book parts of their business travel, then we would like to explicitly discuss it with them and ensure that like we solve around those edge cases.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I understand from my previous role working in procurement that, of course, leakage is the arch enemy of any procurement director. And if you can offer solutions there, you'll be making a lot of procurement people very happy. That's a good point you've made, Kirill. Now, of course, Kirill, you are based in the UAE, and this market itself is a crazy market, you could say, with a unbelievable dynamic in itself. The whole region with some of the world's busiest airport hubs, with some of the world's most successful global travel companies. tell me a bit more about the market and how you guys interact and how you guys are developing in this region, please.
Sure. So happy to share some experience on that. So I think one of the key characteristics of the region that historically there were major regional TMCs, and they really what they built over a number of years is like genuinely high touch service where they handle like all requests of their clients and they do it really well. However, I think what has happened in more recent years is that there are a number of smaller companies, like think of SMBs originating from industries like tech, for instance, which don't necessarily need this type of service, and some of them really want to empower their own employees to book. But at that, some of the employees and especially the leadership, they want to retain the ability to contact a human to both like book their trips and to also handle all kinds of in-trip situations that are happening. So I think that's where we come in with our hybrid approach that Sergio described earlier. So we facilitate both models really well. So if our client or some employees of our client want to book trips in a more legacy way, by just contacting a human, we fully support that. And we do that in Arabic language as well, which is very important for the region. But
Absolutely.
then we also provide the completely like employee first solution where they basically access this consumer grade platform with all kind of inventory, especially the hotels. That's very favorable in terms of pricing, but also fully covers their needs for the travel within the region, which is also a big thing. So I think when we look at European and US customers, a lot of the travel happens kind of across the regions. But I think one of the characteristics of the kind of GCC context is that there is a lot of travel within the region, and so we find it really important that we support that with the proper hotel inventory.
Yeah, well, it's no secret why the WBTF is also based in in the region.
Yeah.
Because it is the melting point of global travel and service at the same time, right? So that's why we decided to set up our organization out of Dubai as well, right? So
Yeah.
I understand a lot of things that you say, and I validate them from my own perspective as well. So thank you for this. We obviously see, and this is no secret and won't be any surprise to you, that there's a lot of consolidation going on. There's a lot of tech players that happen to be in business travel, right? Whereas, like you said before, there were travel agencies that happened to use cutting edge technology. Now it's completely turned around. And with the latest announcement, it is pretty clear that that will be the only way that GBT can go as well, right? They will have
Yeah.
to probably think about streamlining their different levels of product offering that they have and build a state-in-the-art end-to-end platform that is scalable as well. I think for me, anything else wouldn't make any sense. Now, there's of course companies like Perk and Navan that already sit in this space, and they
Yeah.
would make many of the points that you are making, they would make as their own advantages as well, right? Uh, so,
Yeah.
so, so, what do you have to add on top of that, and how do you think you can be ahead? You can be ahead of the pack, if you will, in the next 5 years of development cycle, maybe.
Yeah. Really, really interesting one. I think the newcomers those digital disruptors who emerged in the past years, you were speaking about Navan, Perk, and others, they've done something super important. They've raised the bar on what corporate travelers expect from a booking experience, right? I have genuine respect for what they've built. But let's face it, scale creates its own constraints, right? When you're managing tons of thousands of SME clients, your product roadmap gets pulled towards the medium use case. You build for the majority, right? And you accept certain churn at the edges. Our position is a little bit different, right? We're purpose built for markets and client segments where nuance matters. So the clients we serve don't want to be a rounding error in someone's enterprise portfolio. They want a travel partner who understands their context, that speaks their language, that moves when they need to move and act when they need to act. So 5 years from now, I think the market will be bifurcated further, right? You have on one side, you'll have a handful of global platform competing on volume, and we've seen this with recent consolidation. Volume, large volumes are important to add pressure on supply. So these handful of global platforms competing on volume and brand, and a tier of specialists, digital first, AI driven platforms winning on depth and local relevance. Like we were speaking about the UAE market, this is what we're building. We're like getting anchored into the market, and this is our strategy. We intend to be in that second category, and obviously backed by ETG's global infrastructure. We have the content and the foundation to be there credibly on the long term. And this is what we are building right now. So global reach, but anchored locally.
Okay. Well, good luck with the continuing efforts and the scalability and the growth, of course. If there's
complex industry, a complex industry.
Well, complex, maybe one of the most rewarding industries to work in. I've certainly found for the
I
last
agree.
35 years that it is most enjoyable, which leads to a slightly different question. If you had something you could change, or if you see a blind spot or an inefficiency that you would want to address or tackle, what would it be and how would you go about it?
Yeah, I'll answer that, and I think I'll
Okay.
go back to my favorite topic of leakage, and I think I wanted to speak a bit more about why is this happening, specifically with TMCs. And in my experience, one of the primary reasons has been that some of the employees and even some of the customers as an entity, they just don't believe that an experience that TMCs, or I would say modern TMCs, are bringing to the table is on par with what they are experiencing at consumer platforms. And so effectively, what I would change is this belief so that uh, our current and potential clients, and especially potential clients, are comfortable with using the platform for as many of their corporate travel bookings as possible. And then the implication of that is basically it unlocks everything, more savings, kind of better compliance within the customer, kind of better reporting, and even things like sustainability, I think, benefit from all bookings coming through a single platform where it becomes easier to report and ultimately compensate on them.
Great. Thank you, Kirill. We're coming towards the end of our Leaders in Motion session, and I'm enjoying it very much that I have two experts with me. This is a first. I'll throw in a last question for you guys, and you see how you take it. If you had one thing you wish more corporate travel buyers in the emerging markets understood about what modern travel management platforms can actually deliver, what would you want? What would you want your counterparts when you go into a sales pitch, a discussion, a meeting? What would you want it that they would better understand?
That's an interesting one because we're having this kind of conversations literally every day.
Yes, I'm sure you are.
We're addressing, yes, we are addressing the unmanaged business travel, which is a huge portion of the global business travel. And I think one of the key objections maybe from people is that moving from unmanaged, so booking on the airline's website, booking on various B2C websites, to a more managed travel approach is not a loss of freedom. I think people still perceive that going from unmanaged to managed is going to be a loss of freedom. Like I'm going to have just a few options when booking my accommodation, just a few options when I'm booking my flight, because I need to respect the travel policy that is embedded into a booking tool or with an offline team. So I think this is for me one of the things that is always a barrier for small and medium-sized businesses, but mainly for small businesses. So from people that search for a first consolidation, for a first one-time consolidation with a travel management provider, Roundtrip or any other one, and in most of those companies that still run unmanaged travel, the status quo feels kind of comfortable because it's invisible. Travelers book what they want, finance reconciles expenses after the fact, after the trip happens, and nobody really knows what the program is costing, right? In money, in time, or in risk, right? So this kind of invisibility, right, gets mistaken for simplicity sometimes, and it isn't. It's just complexity that nobody has chosen to measure yet. So what I wish more buyers understood on how low the barrier to entry actually is today, right? The old objection 10 years ago when I was selling, I remember people thought that managed travel meant a heavy implementation, 6 months, 1 year, a long contract, a tool that felt like a step backwards from booking on any consumer app or website. And that was a fair critique 10 years ago, I think. But that's not anymore, because a modern platform can be up and running in days now, not months. Policy configuration is really intuitive, so it can be done by a 5-year-old. The booking experience is genuinely comparable to what travelers are already used to use on when booking their holidays.
Private life.
Yes,
exactly.
So that's why I think sometimes it's difficult to overcome this aspect of people believing that it's going to be difficult to move from unmanaged to managed.
You're making it very hard for me to end the discussion here, because I have you're triggering one or maybe 2 or 3 follow-up questions right away. So do you think, are we finally moving towards the time where the business to business is catching up with the business to consumer experience that would traditionally always be light years ahead, and would make people think, why is it so simple for me to get my stuff organized privately, and when I come to the office it's a nightmare and it's super complicated? Do you think, are we finally getting to the point where maybe even the corporate experience can be ahead of the private experience, just because there's more enterprise behind it, more money maybe behind it? Are we finally at that point? What do you think? Are we getting there?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't go that far, right? So it's not going to beat the B2C experience, but it's going to get a line, I think, right? Imagine, when ordering your food, I keep giving this example, and you're ordering your food on Deliveroo or Glovo or Just Eat. Imagine how would that be to order Japanese on the app, but if you want to order pizza, you have to call. And if you want to order Vietnamese, you have to send an email, and then there's an SLA, and people are going to answer, yes, we have these noodles and stuff. So that's right. So it goes into that direction, and the technologies that are available today, driven by AI, are really easy, configurable. Where we still have I think, a gap is within the local complexities. You look at markets like Brazil, Japan, even some European markets who are becoming still increasingly processed. There are a lot of process, like in Italy, for example, a lot of process for e-billing, e-invoicing, which is coming to Germany very soon, to France. So these are specifics that would need to be addressed at local level, and no global platform will be able to address those markets in a, how to call it, in an approach one size fits all.
I think this is a perfect ending to a fantastic discussion. I would like to thank you both, Kirill and Sergiu, for this very dynamic exchange. This concludes another session of Leaders in Motion, produced by our partners MCI Middle East at the studios at the World Trade Center in Dubai. Thank you very much. I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and look forward to talking to you soon again in another session of Leaders in Motion. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Dominic.
Having us.
Thank you so much.